outfall plans as part of one of our projects for ARPA, because it qualifies because it deals with drainage.
I don't know if you can use ARPA funds to match Corps of Engineers funds for your 35% on the beach nourishment, but we can track that down. That's a great question.
Sounds good.
Do the ideas of a detached breakwater scare anybody?
I mean, you physically see them in the water.
I like them better than the concrete things.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Do you see any maintenance issues that you may have?
No,
with
because
that?
it would be out in the water. It would be far enough that we wouldn't have to maintain them unless, you have a big enough storm that moves them. But hopefully we won't see that in our lifetime.
I would ask Chuck the way, the benefit and the cost is what I would,
Right.
I'd be something I'd have to.
Yeah,
I
we'll just
would-
have to look into it and see. I know they have some of this, don't they have it down at Bayou Caddy? Don't they have some of these down there by the casino at the far end?
I'm not aware of that.
I think we'll have to look into it and see.
On the river, by the casinos.
Yeah,
Go around.
yeah.
And maybe we could see what they look like over in, where'd you say, Petty Boy?
Well, this photo was Petty Boy. I actually visited, there's a Biloxi marina on Back Bay, their commercial fishing dock marina. They're actually loading, this local supplier is loading a barge out of that location. And I got word of it and stopped by one day, but there was actually a lot of these precast pyramids headed to Louisiana on a yard in
Does
Biloxi.
Louisiana have one we can see? I'd like to see what it would look like.
Yeah, and they're going to be at the edge of the marsh with the sound over there. So, but let me see what I can find with pictures and that kind of thing, photographs.
So you can actually see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw these. Very strange.
Yeah.
This is strange, very strange. If it's the same thing. This breakwater,
That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
it looks different.
It's ugly.
It's ugly. Thank you, Beverly. I knew she'd help me out on that.
Just the wave action comes in, it deposits the sand on the north side of it so that it builds material, so you don't lose it. Especially in some of the high areas where we have such a influx of sand removal. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the opportunity to work on these beach and pier projects for the county, so thank you for the opportunity. I enjoy it.
Thank you.
Next, we got recognized Ms. Jackie Turner. She give us an update on the ARPA project.
Good morning. This is probably going to be pretty quick, but I just wanted to take a minute to kind of make sure we're all on the same page with what has been changing. I'm sure you're aware that the match requests that were made through the Lieutenant Governor's office basically were handed off through a series of bills that will allow various state agencies to consider and approve matches. And so we have we've looked through those statutes, looked through exactly what they're discussing. What it boils down to is that the agencies have been tasked with developing guidelines by which you can apply by July 1st. And so once July 1st comes around, if they're able to meet that deadline, we'll know exactly what needs to be submitted. But the criteria that are in those bills in general are consistent with what we've already put together. We'll have to add a few things having to do with low mod income areas and that sort of thing, but we can tag that on there and add it once we know for sure what the criteria are. And so, looking through the entire list of projects that we have, everything that's related to water, sewer, or drainage fits the DEQ, EPA application definition. So, and then there's the mental health ones, we're not sure that they really would qualify, except for that bill does kind of have or other projects deemed appropriate. So if we manage to line it in that way, we may be able to do that. Another thing that has changed is there's a specific set of bills that authorizes direct allocation to rural water agencies with a cap of 2.5 million. And so what we had kind of talked about or considered is that we have 4 projects that would be worked with West Harrison. There's 2 of them that are the higher value, higher dollar amount that are in the first package that we can still meet under our 40 million. Then there's 2 that would come in later that may not make it if we don't get match. And so we wanted to see if we wanted to consider encouraging them to apply directly for those 2 projects, because they would come in under that $2.5 million cap. I mean, I think it certainly couldn't hurt. If they get 100% funding, it's better than us getting 50%. And so I'd like to, if it's okay with y'all, visit with Virgil and go through that and encourage that to happen.
Why would they not have done that to start with?
To begin with, there was no allocation for rural water agencies. That's something that just got added.
Thanks to some very savvy lobbying efforts.
Yeah.
So initially, it was just straight allocations to cities and counties, and now they've added in rural water agencies as an option. But it does have a cap on it.
I think they're concerned in talking to them is the delay that's occurring, the time frame. And I think we've discussed this before. We've got X number of dollars, we need to proceed. If we get matching, great. If we don't, we still get the project.
Okay.
One other
But
issue.
if we keep delaying it, God only knows, the money could dry up.
Yes, sir.
On the rural area, does that include, that SOSHA is a community? Did they know about it, the SOSHA rural water facility?
I haven't personally contacted them, but
Okay, they need to be contacted, because they have some serious issues, I think.
okay.
I think that we've even thought at the utility authority about asking if they wanted to donate it to us, but we don't know what kind of condition it is, and it's very old, and I don't think a lot of upkeep has been done on it.
We'll see if they apply, make sure they're aware of that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
One other thing that has happened last week or the week before, Gulfport approached Mr. Jones and I about setting up a meeting with Kent and Rebecca. We did visit with them last week to see what their interests in possible partnerships would be. And their biggest interest is actually contributing to our number 3 priority project. And so there's a possibility that the money we were going to allocate, they would like to do the 50-50 on that part, which would actually allow us to put some money towards some other things. We weren't specifically sure if there were any other things, and they asked us to set up another meeting. When we put this on the agenda, we thought we might have an answer, but they asked us to set up a follow-up meeting, and Wayne and I are doing that Wednesday. So I may have some more updates as far as Gulfport's concerned next week. Then I think the 2 things that are kind of floating around are whether we need, and this is kind of iffy, that our last discussion, y'all authorized applying for match at the state level. And I think to err on the side of caution, it would be good if y'all would approve application for match funding at each agency level as well. And then we also will need to look towards setting up MOUs with each of these other agencies that we'd be partnering with to move forward. So that's kind of just a brief summary of where we are right now, what kind of is still up in the air and what we're trying to settle.
I think the one thing that we were concerned about, is it going to delay or possibly, is it going to delay our projects that we already have momentum?
It shouldn't, and I'm hearing very clearly, keep moving, get these first ones going, and that is going to happen. The one thing that concerns me, and we kind of laughed about it with Gulfport as well, is when you read these statutes, it almost literally says, in order to keep this money, you have to follow all the rules that are in place and all the rules that we're gonna make and we haven't told you about yet, so. I mean, to promise 100% they're all gonna fly and we're not gonna have a hiccup, it's hard to say if they haven't made the rules yet, but we'll do the best we can to follow what you would typically see. So I don't know that we have any necessary action other than if we need to approve application to the various agencies when July 1st comes around. Otherwise, I think it's all just status moving along.
I'll make that
Well, we've
motion.
already approved it, so, well,
Yes.
that's already
We
been done.
approved
We've
doing a
already-
match to the state, and if y'all are
The
okay
other
with that.
agencies, do we,
Well, we don't know what that is yet, it's kinda unknown.
We know that the water, sewer, and drainage will be the DEQ, and then we don't know for sure who else might accept
That's
applications.
what I'm saying, I don't wanna vote on something before, who it is we're partnering
It's hard to say without knowing exactly what it
with.
is.
That's what I'm saying.
Whether you want the partner depends on the benefit for each
Right.
agency.
As far as-
With us too.
And as far as you're concerned, though, you've already approved us to apply for the state for our direct projects, and regardless of what agency that is, just proceed.
Right.
I thought we already
We
did
did.
that.
we've done that.
Okay. I guess if you don't have any other questions, that was just kind of, I wanted to let you know what we have been doing.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
thank
thank
you so
you.
much. Okay, just before we go to the consent agenda, I want to bring on Ms. Charlotte Cuevas. We're gonna give you 3 minutes to give us her,
Yeah, so I need to go.
just a minute, come on up, please.
Ask if she needs a chair.
Okay, you want
Would you
a
like to
chair?
sit down?
No, I'm fine.
Just state your name and your address, please.
My name's Charlotte Cuevas. I live at 22346 Herman Wagner Road, in Zosha. And the issue that I'm concerned about is I had wrote to all 5 district supervisors about the concern for personal property cleanup in Harrison County. And there's a lot of trashy places out there in the county. And so I was concerned about that, and the fact that there is only one person that is over the zoning part of it in Harrison County. And I had requested that a task force be put in place. And if not that, 5 people for the 5 districts that there is. And if say like a person is given 3 months to clean their property up and they don't do it during that time, that they would be fined and it would be added to their taxes at the end of the year. And then if another consecutive 3 months comes up and they still don't do it, they're fined again. Because it's totally getting out of hand in the country. So,
Okay, we really appreciate it.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Mr.
Thank you.
President? Maybe this would be a good time for maybe Tim to explain to her the laws that we have to go by in reference to cleaning it up and sometimes the difficulty
Right.
that we get to Tim. It's not just a simple matter of ordering it to be done and it's done.
Unfortunately, the state legislature, the statute that gives the county authority or limited to what we refer to as menaced properties, which are properties in such condition they're adversely affect the health and safety of the citizens of the county. In the other statute, we do have a local private building with blighted properties that can be used, but there's somewhat of a laborious procedure to go through to get those properties before the board. There is no authority for the board just to go out and cite somebody and fine them. Both of the statutes require notice and a hearing, and the property owner is called in. We actually have a hearing before the board. The board adjudicates it's either a menace to the public health and safety or that it's a blighted property under the conditions set forth in the statute, then they can clean the property and assess it like the cost thereof, like taxes. But there's no procedure just to go out and cite somebody and say you need to clean your property or we're going to fine you. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. The legislature would have to pass a law to authorize that. And Jackie, where's Teresa? Is she here? Teresa's not here. Quite often I Because I ride around, I see properties that I think qualify, I send them, I take pictures of it and send it to Teresa Hydrant to tell her about it, and they go out and talk to the property owner. If you have a specific property that you're concerned about, I would suggest you send that to Teresa Hydrant at the building department.
I sent information to the person that's over it right now in the zoning department.
And how long ago did you send it?
It's probably been a couple months.
Yeah, well, I'll check on that. What's the name of the person, do you know?
I do
Don't?
not.
Okay. I'll ask Teresa about it and see if I can find out about it, and we can look at it to see. They go out and look at it, but they may determine that it's doesn't qualify under one of those two statutes.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, the
I
board
just
doesn't have
gave her
any.
the address.
Right, if the board doesn't, if it doesn't qualify under the statute, the board has no authority to do anything about it. The legislature has not seen fit to apply that to private property. The board has been very active in trying to address menaced property. It can be very difficult at times. People can be very difficult that you're dealing with.
And we, if I may, we do have safety officers that help us go out to those properties and go out with zoning and also the code office. They go with them so that there's reports made on them.
Do you have the email? Do you email?
No, I don't.
You don't email? If you could, do you know the address of the property you're dealing with? Concerned about?
Not right offhand.
Okay. If you could, I'm just trying to figure out how to figure out what property you're talking about. If you can give the information to Tricia, we'll check on it for you
Okay,
and try to see whether it qualifies or not.
okay.
And I just recently reported one to Teresa out on Three Rivers Road, or off of Three Rivers Road. So, sometimes they get to it as quickly as they can. There's a lot of it, unfortunately. But the board's authority is very limited. The legislature has not seen fit to give us the laws that make it easy to do that. It's pretty difficult. We
Okay.
fought that battle for years and had a lot of them cleaned up.
Family got in trouble.
Good.
Got in trouble one
Thank
time.
you.
We survived it.
Thank you so
District
much.
5.
I can appreciate her concern.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Next, we have the consent agenda items. Number 4 through 10 have been placed on the consent agenda. Same appearance to be routine, non-controversial matters which all supervisors are likely to agree. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 11, order spreading upon the minutes, personnel changes for the tax assessor's office as listed and on file with the payroll clerk.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed,
Aye.
motion carries. Item 12, order approving in-county travel reimbursement for tax assessor's office as listed.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. 13, order acknowledging receipt of and approving petitions for decreases to the 2021 real and personal property rolls as recommended by the tax assessor.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. 14, order approving Sheridan Boynette, Crystal Mason, and Kathleen Gonzalez to attend the 93rd Annual Mississippi Assessors and Collectors Association Conference in Biloxi, July 10th through 14th.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order spreading upon the minutes, personnel changes for the tax collector's office as listed and on file with the payroll administrator.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 16, order approving payment of registration fees for Judge Albert Fountain, Judge Nick Patano, Judge Melvin J. Ray, and Judge Diane Ladner in the total amount of $2,500 per judge for the Mississippi Justice Court Judges Summer Convention and Training.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 17, order approving payment of claims listed below.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 18, order acknowledge the receipt of the time extension and reduction of scope agreement for Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks, Land and Water Conservation Project number 28-0673, Harrison County Biloxi Riverboat Launch Park, Harrison County, Mississippi, and authorizing the board president to execute the same.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 19, order acknowledging receipt of the letter of resignation from Mr. Steve Delahousie as the EMS representative to Harrison County Emergency Communication Commission. Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 20, order appointing Mr. Billy Ship as EMS representative to Harrison County Emergency Communication Commission as requested by the American Medical Responder.
Motion.
Second.
Second, discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 21, order approving transfer in the amount of $14,777.15 from line item 106-250-500 to 106-250-918 for the purchase of 3 radios for the new fire trucks.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 22, order authorizing budget amendment to 106-250-922 in the amount of $14,600 for the purchase of 2 new CBA air packs for fire services from the municipal emergency services, state contract 8200058817. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second discussion. Pat, you can't use, what's that fund, EMO's fund, what's it called? Cannot be used for that?
I'm sorry, sir. Repeat that, I'm sorry.
I
EMSOF.
said, what's the
Were you
fund?
asking about the EMSOF?
Yeah,
Yeah,
EMSOF
yes.
fund could not be used for that, rather than a budget amendment?
On which one, sir? I'm sorry, I apologize.
On the 2.
On the authorized
Yeah,
number
the air-
22,
the air pack,
Yes, sir.
for the air packs.
no, sir, it cannot be used because that is not part of the E EMSOF used for medical. This is actually, though, is being replaced because it's coming through the MEMA fund, so we're not coming out of our budget for it. It's just, it's being reimbursed from the what we charged HOMA to go over there. It was damaged for that, so that's actually coming from their funding.
I just thought EMOS or whatever it's called.
Yes, sir. No, so there's certain things that the EMSOF can cover, and if it's got to be primarily for medical, and this is primarily firefighting, so no, sir.
It's pretty important.
Right.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you, Pat.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, like any further discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 23, order authorizing the budget amendment to 106-250-918 in the amount of $37,250 and approving line item transfer from 106-250-500 to 106-250-918 in the amount of $1,350.23 for the purchase of 9 Harricia 95 P25 portable radios, programming, charges, and accessories.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 24, order approving out-of-state travel is listed.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
What?
All opposed?
I think to retire and go on trips.
Okay, next up, item 31, order concurring with the road manager on employment as listed and on file with payroll clerk. Motion. What?
Zoning has some other cases.
We have something that's not going to be, go through the appeal? Okay,
Yeah.
26.
okay.
That's in.
Yes.
Items 26 through 30 are standard cases before the planning commission, and would ask that you concur with the recommendations for that one. Item 25 is scheduled for 10:30.
Okay,
Motion to approve 26 through 30.
right.
Second.
Second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll come back to the hearing at 10:30. 31, order concurring with the road manager on employment as listed and on file with the payroll clerk. Motion.
Second, I'm sorry.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 32, order concurring with the county administrator on employment as listed and on file with the payroll clerk.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 33, order spread upon the minutes the personnel changes of district attorney's office as listed and on file with the payroll clerk.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 34, order concurring with the chancery clerks on employment and personnel changes and on file with the payroll clerk and personnel human resources department.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 35, spread upon the minutes of personnel changes of the sheriff's office as listed and on file with the payroll clerk. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 36, order accepting the best and only reverse auto auction bid received from Turf Tank in the amount of $46,500 for GPS robotic field painter system for Harrison County Parks and Recreation Department. Motion.
Motion. Second. Motion.
Can
Motion.
you get a second?
Second for discussion.
I'm sorry.
We just,
What is this?
that's a lot of money.
This is the robot that's gonna paint those soccer fields. Remember when Bobby came before the board and explained it cost savings?
I know, but here's my deal. Is this, how we been painting them before?
We paint them by hand.
And
Paint them by hand.
Okay, there's a problem with that.
There's no problem with it at all. I'm just trying to save money.
Is it cheap? Well, that's what I'm asking. Is it
Yes,
cheaper
ma'am.
to
Yes,
do?
ma'am. I had a sheet that I had broken down and given to Pam whenever I started this endeavor, but it pays for itself in the first year.
And time, Bob?
And time, labor,
Time.
material.
Time is unbelievable. And paint. It uses a third less paint
So it's
than,
not gonna go all
so if
crazy.
you got a guy painting, like one of my guys, he's real slow. He's good, but he's slow. He paints a soccer field, it takes 5 gallons of paint.
I don't think there's a question of justification, but I am somewhat curious. Why you think you only one bidder?
It's the sole source.
We started out talking
We-
about whether or not it's sole source or not.
There's only two. There's only
We
two
figured
made.
out, so we
There's
decided.
only two made.
There's only two companies out there in this business right now. I don't want to say this out loud, but you can do streets with it too.
Well, you already
Just
said
said it out loud.
Just sound, again.
Tim was listening.
Parking lot.
But you,
Ma'am.
Parking lot.
Yes, ma'am. You can do logos, like you can do the Harrison County logo on the soccer field if you want to.
but
I
you
mean,
comfortable, Tim, that was
Yes,
only.
we started out looking at whether or not it was a sole source and had concerns whether or not it was in fact a sole source. I says, if it's a sole source, bid it, and if the only one bids, then you don't have a problem.
and the price is the same price they quoted me in November. They haven't gone up at all or anything.
So you didn't get any competitive bids, which
Yeah, that's what I was concerned about.
It's a good deal.
Single source, a single bid. Also,
Yes, sir. Anything else?
Thank you.
thank you, Bob.
Not that yet. Okay, without any further discussion, all in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 37, order acknowledging the cancellation of reverse auction bids for Sand Beach Department equipment, new 222 articulate 4-wheel drive rubber tire wheel loader, as requested by the Sand Beach Department Director as it plans to proceed. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 38, order designating any supervisor, county administrative, purchase clerk, transfer clerk, or any department head as board representatives to receive bids and bid speculation as listed.
Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 39, let's see. Order authorizing the purchase clerk or his designee to accept the lowest and best competitive written quote and the bids to restrict in accordance state law on purchasing for purchases under $5,000 and purchases over $5,000, not over $50,000, without further board order. And this order shall be spread on the minutes of the Board of Supervisors of Harrison County, Mississippi. A copy therefore shall be maintained on file at the office of the county administrator in the Gulfport Courthouse and recorded in the official minutes of the Board of Supervisors as appropriate in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 31713B. The purchase clerk shall regularly provide a report to the board of all such purchases under $5,000 and purchases over $5,000, but not over $50,000, which shall be spread on the minutes.
Explain that.
Motion. Second
That
discussion.
was his words.
Second.
I drafted it. I didn't know it was that wordy when I drafted it. But ultimately, this puts the responsibility of purchases below $50,000 on the purchasing clerk. If the board spreads this on the minutes and keeps it as states in the order, then the purchasing clerk is liable for those purchases, not the individual board supervisors.
And she's aware of that.
Yes, I hope so. So it was
She's
just
bonded.
making sure this was, I
Yes.
think this was done in the past, but we couldn't find it, so we just made sure on the minutes again. So
I presume what will be submitted to the board is the quotes themselves.
the reports like you've been getting already, you get reports of purchases by quote and by,
In the back.
No, just for the quote.
The comptroller was
well,
Okay.
I would just like to say too, the Code of Federal Regulations that governs federal purchases has a lower threshold, what they call micro purchases of $3,500. So we need to make sure that anything paid with federal grants, if it's under $5,000, that it meets that threshold that we get two quotes.
yeah, it's got federal funds in to follow those.
Yeah, but I think our attorneys addressed it.
This has to do with the board's personal liability for those types of purchases where you're not really been involved in them. The purchasing clerk is doing.
Correct.
And so it needed to be spread on the minutes, and it hadn't been for years that I know of, so we just went ahead and redid it.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Thanks. Without any further discussion, all in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. As the sheriff or his representative gives a number of persons that's currently housed in Harrison County Jail facility.
Good morning. Right now, we've got 726, 30 misdemeanors, 117 females, cleared state arrests are 81, and federal employees,
Probably a couple of them.
you probably are.
Got a couple of them in there too.
You can't work them like that. 38 on federal inmates. Oh, and, Mr. President, if we could remove number 41 from the agenda. There was a problem with the pricing on it. Go figure, cars go up. And so we just said we'll forego that.
Okay.
You want to table or just go ahead and deny it? That way it's off the agenda.
It's denied. Okay. Item 41, order approved the local purchase of one 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee WK Laredo 4x2 for champion Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. It cost of $36,620 and authorizing the county administrator to transfer the funds from 001-211-432 to 001-2915.
Motion to deny.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 42, order approving the local purchase of Geiger Heating and Air in the amount of $36,105.96 to replace the air conditioning unit in the Wardens hallway at the Harrison County Adult Detention Center. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 43, order approving the increase of data limits on travel card from 2,000 to 5,000. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, Motion carries. 44, order approving mileage reimbursement for in-county travel for the following employees. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 45, order authorizing disposal of assets per attached list and authorizing the inventory clerk to remove the same from inventory.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of that motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 46, order declaring asset number 12252, a 2000 E1 GMC 1250 gallon pump and fire truck, serial number GTP7H1C5 J507172.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion, Pat, y'all want to put that up for sale? Is that one for sale?
Yes, sir, it will be, yes, sir. And what we're waiting on right now is, once you approve this, then we were asked to have them put it on their minutes in Pearl River County. And they'll be doing that, and then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 47, order acknowledging receipt of Head Start GASB 53 and 72 annual reports for derivative-related debt 2010B bond series for fiscal year 2021, authorizing payment. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion
I'm
carries.
sorry to be so slow. Number 46, if it hasn't been sold yet, it should be removed from inventory. We still got it.
No, yeah, we have to remove it
You have to
first
remove it first.
for surplus.
So it's sitting here. We still have it,
Yes.
but it's not gonna be on the inventory list.
You have to remove it in order to, you have to declare it as surplus in order to.
You can declare it surplus, I ain't got a problem with that. I have a problem removing it from your inventory list when we still own it and still have it.
I've got to
Problems
understand.
with that. Could be.
But they're not using it. You're not using it.
Whether or not
Oh,
you,
we can,
Once it comes off the inventory, it can't be used on, for county, can't use it.
I don't think it should come off the inventory list until it's sold. It can be declared surplus, but taking it off the inventory list while we still own it is a good question.
so we just need
I would-
to
So we'll just
amend
mark
that.
Okay, I'm with Marty, whatever he says.
I ain't got a problem with declaring it surplus, that's
Yeah.
fine.
That's fine.
The problem is until it's sold, it should not be taken off the inventory list because that's your control of inventories because it's still there.
Yeah.
So motion to amend item 46 to remove the language saying to remove from the inventory list.
Second the motion.
Declare it surplus,
Leave the
Yeah.
inventory off.
leave it on the inventory.
Second the motion.
Second. Okay, all in favor of that motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry. We'll read slow.
48.
One of the problems could be, Tim, if we do that, truck catches on fire and burns. We don't have any,
It could
the
be all
insurance
kind-
company would be.
Could be all kind
If
of
it's not
problems.
on our inventory, how could they pay for it? How would they?
Because you still
That
have
would give
title.
them, it would give them an excuse.
You still have title.
Should remain on the inventory list until we sell it. Declare it surplus is fine.
Okay, we'll do number 48, then we'll go to our 10:30 hearing. Order authorizing reimbursement of the road fund 150,000,360 in the amount of $3,812.93 for parking lot work performed in the senior service building on Maple Drive.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
We can do one more.
I'm gonna squeeze one more in. And number 49, order authorizing reimbursement to general fund 001-200-542 in the amount of $89.70 for the fire services fund 106-250-542 for repairs made to the vehicle. Motion.
Motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Zoning, Mr. Pat, you want to come up and get us started? You want to come back? Next up, we have an appeal, and it's filed by David and Janice White, being represented by Schwartz, Olger, and Jordan for the Planning Commission decision to approve case file 2203 HC046 for a zone map amendment filed by David and Kelly Koslovich, requesting approval to change the zone district classification of 3 acres of land as shown on the site plan. The property is currently zoned as the E1 very low density residential district. The request is to change the zoning district classification to R1, low density residential district, for the purpose of subdividing 2 parcels totaling 4 acres into 2 acre parcels. The subject property is located at 14485 Hayden Lane. The subject property is a portion of the ad valorem tax parcel 0807B 01013 003 and 0807B 01013 000.
Okay. In this case, the planning commission approved the applicant's planning commission application, and the neighbors appealed it. The Kospliches owned a 4-acre property. It was all zoned E1, and maybe approximately 4 years ago, they rezoned the southern 1 acre of that property in order to build a cottage for one of their family members. Since then, the applicants have been through a divorce, and they have a property settlement agreement which requires them to split the property. So this request is to rezone the northern 3 acres from E1 to R1 to create a 2-acre property on the south side of the property and a 2-acre property on the north side. And the neighbors appealed that decision of the Planning Commission. Just a reminder for everybody, we have a maximum of 3 speakers per side, 10 minutes per person to speak. And in this case, the neighbors of the appellant, so they'll go first, then the applicant will have a chance to speak, and then a short rebuttal by the appellant.
Before we do, can I ask a question? This is E1 is still low density residential, right?
Very low density residential.
And R1 is also low density residential. What is the difference between the two?
The E1 requires a 3-acre minimum lot size. The R1 is allowed to go as small as 1 acre in this area. It's served by a well and septic tank.
So you would have 3 acres and 1 acre, and you're gonna take 1 acre and combine it with
The southern acre.
the other acre. So you have 2 lots, 2 acres and 2 acres.
Yes, sir. So R1 would be the right
So
size.
they couldn't use it under E1 because it requires 3 acres minimum.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the reason for the change.
Yes, sir.
It was originally E1, originally zoned as E1.
Correct.
And they've already had it changed one time.
Right, you already changed one on the, you took off one of the 4 acres and made it to R1.
That is correct.
I'm just trying to get it straight.
Okay, next up, we're gonna have the, get the presentation, who's making the appeal. Just state the name and address for the,
Christian Strickland, here on behalf of David and Janice White. My office address is 2355 Pass Road, Biloxi, 39531. Good morning. So we're here this morning on a very simple issue on appeal, which is on these rezoning matters. There is a burden of proof that has to be satisfied. And our position is very simply that there was not sufficient proof put on before the lower tribunal for a zoning change. I'm going to cite some case law and also the transcript for the record before the Planning Commission. And it's my hope that the board will see that there was entirely insufficient proof of zoning change, for a zoning change. So the first case I want to cite to you is the case of Wrigley versus Harris. This is a Court of Appeals case from 2015. And this case is one of the plethora of cases that cites a standard for these zoning matters. For an applicant's request for rezoning to be granted, he must prove by clear and convincing evidence either 1, there was a mistake in the original zoning, or 2, the character of the neighborhood has changed to such an extent as to justify rezoning and that public need exists for rezoning. In this case, there's no allegation of mistake, so the applicant must prove change and public need. Both of those have to be proven by clear and convincing evidence. And as the members of this board know, this is not a court of law, but of course you're familiar with the evidentiary standards, but there's 3 burdens of proof. Beyond a reasonable doubt is the highest burden, but the one directly under that is clear and convincing evidence. So this is very high, this is the second highest burden of proof in courts of law. To support an appeal, a reclassification of zones, the record, this is again, I'm cited to that Wrigley case, the record should contain a map showing the circumstances of the area, the changes in the neighborhood, statistics showing a public need, and such further matters of proof so that a rational, informed judgment may be formed as to what the governing board considered. Where there is no such proof in the record, we must conclude there was neither change nor public need. And the record that was before the Planning Commission, there's no maps, there's no proof, there's no statistics, there's not one iota of evidence that would be sufficient to justify a zoning change. Furthermore, I want to cite to you the case of City of Oxford versus Inman, which is a Supreme Court case of Mississippi from 1981. And in that case, the court actually says not only do you have to have specific public need, and I want to emphasize the need is for the public, not for the applicants. It's irrelevant what the applicant needs. The need has to be for the public. In the City of Oxford versus Inman, the court actually said that the need has to be related to the specific property. That's 405 Southern 2nd 111. And that's at page 113. The court actually states there has to be need for the specific parcel. Again, there's no proof before this board, there's no proof before the tribunal of record, which was the Planning Commission. As this board knows, the record has to be made there. The evidence is not presented here. Evidence is presented before the Planning Commission. This board knows that. Finally, I want to cite a new case. It's a 2022 case, which I know Mr. Holland's aware of, Wheelan versus City of Goshen. Prior to this case coming down, which came down in, I believe, February of this year, there was deference to zoning boards' decisions. Now, whenever there's an interpretation of a zoning ordinance, it's entirely de novo review. So now the Supreme Court Court of Appeals they will be able to decide, they don't owe zero deference to any zoning board. And so this I think is just relevant because if this case were to go up on appeal, there's no longer deference to zoning decisions where there's interpretation of a zoning ordinance. So I think it's relevant. Now, if the honorable board members would look to the record before the Planning Commission, they look to the transcript, you'll see there's no evidence. And in fact, if you look at the transcript, Mr. William Sims, who's an local attorney, represented the applicant in this case, actually admitted that there's no change in the neighborhood. And I'll read to you, if you'll bear with me, verbatim, several instances where he admits this. This is on page 5 of the transcript before the Planning Commission. He states, "So I really don't think this is deviating from what is the neighborhood right now." He goes on, and then Mr. Bonk later states that the staff recommendation is to approve the request. The lots are similar to all of the other lots in the neighborhood. Again, where's the change? And finally, when the decision was rendered, this was Commissioner Simpson speaking at the Planning Commission. He states the basis for the recommendation is change in conditions and that the proposed development is compatible with the neighborhood as demonstrated in the application. So again, compatibility is the antithesis of change. So again, and even if you look at the application for the rezoning, if you look at, this is the standard form that's put before the applicants. Y'all are very familiar with this form. Public need, we've got a one-liner. Splitting back to original 2-acre. Where's the public need? And again, there's just zero evidence. So I have my client here, Mr. White is here in case the board would like to hear from him. But in conclusion, there's just not sufficient evidence for rezoning, and we respectfully request that the decision of the Planning Commission be reversed.
Christian, may I ask a question?
Sure.
These two parties are getting a divorce, right?
Right.
They're dividing their basically marital home into two equal parts. I assume one's gonna get one half and one's gonna get the other half.
That's hard to divide up a home.
It's hard to divide it up.
Well-
But just, and I understand what you're saying about the technicalities, but there was a change in the neighborhood, and the 1 acre lot was previously changed to R1. How long ago was that?
4 years.
4 years ago.
Okay. And so that is a change that was not objected to and not appealed, right? So you really,
This is the same piece you're talking about?
the one that's the 1 acre on the south end of, it looks like it's.
But you said he wanted to go back to the original 2 acre lots, but really, the original is 4 acres, correct?
Originally, it was a 4 acre piece of property.
Okay, I just want
My
to
understanding,
clarify
but
that.
I don't think that that constitutes a change if we're talking about the same piece. The change has to be for the entire neighborhood.
I understand.
Yeah.
There's an issue here that there's one change that's already occurred and been approved, which in my opinion is a change in the character of the neighborhood. So you had one lot that was changed to R1 previously, and all you're really doing is taking a 3 acre lot, taking 1 acre and adding it to the 1 acre they own also, so that these parties could get, I don't know if I would want to live next to my ex-wife, but I guess they can. I don't have an ex-wife, I'm keeping the one I can. Or she's keeping
Changed
me.
that though specifically for the son who was handicapped. Excuse me, if we remember correctly, that was changed specifically for a son who was handicapped who could live alone. That son, where's he gonna live? I mean, it's none of my business,
Well,
but we've already changed that, and we changed it for a specific reason, not.
And so there's, I assume the
Not
son would
for
still live with one of his parents.
Let me make it correct, and it's not a son.
Whatever.
But you
I
can.
don't know who it is, I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this too. I mean, we're commenting about, we think there's a divorce. I don't think the divorce decree was actually appended to the record, you know, and references to things that
And
are
what
outside of
difference
the record.
does
I
it
think
make anyway?
we're bound to the record before the planning commission. And I think as the record is, and if you look at the transcript, you know, Ms. Holland, I don't believe that there were references to those items being a change. So I think we're bound to the record before the planning commission, which was just not approved.
Well, my question is, why are we objecting to these two folks dividing their property in a domestic? I assume the domestic situation was discussed. I don't remember reading that in the transcript.
Well, I can let Mr. White speak to you, but, you know, to me, the law is the law. And
I
so,
understand.
The divorce was discussed in the transcript as well as the separation, the
Where?
dividing of the property. That was discussed in the transcript.
but the
actual
The divorce
divorce
document.
record wasn't presented as evidence, it was just discussed.
And if it's already final, which I'm assuming it is,
And also, I mean, there's a separation of powers issue if we're gonna let a divorce decree bind a
Decide.
planning commission. I mean, there'd be a separation of powers issue because you have the administrative body and a court of law, and you also have no privity.
I wouldn't say you're doing that. I would say that when you start talking about need for the change, the harmony and resolving divorces is a public need also.
but with all due respect, Mr. Hallman, the whole basis of wanting this changed is because of the divorce. So I personally don't see that as a reason, but, you know.
Well, if we look at a public policy standpoint, if we're gonna let divorce decrees decide what this honorable board does or what a planning commission does, then y'all are gonna be here ad infinitum, you know, interpreting divorce decrees. I just don't think that's why y'all
You'll
wanna be
get
here.
your chance, sir.
Let me ask this real quick, Patrick. I'm just trying to figure this out. Why do they have to have a zoning change at all? The house is already built.
It would create a
Is there an
nonconformity if they're allowed to have a 2 acre parcel currently zoned to E1.
They're not changing anything, but it's gonna still be E1. There's already, whatever's built was built.
That's true. It would create a nonconformity. It was our recommendation to rezone it to.
I don't think they have to have a zoning change just to sell half an acre. It would still be subject to be E1, but anyway, go ahead. Jeff?
No, no, you're not your turn yet. No, we still with
Listen
you
to
guys.
the appellants first.
Do you still have any, you wanna bring anyone else up?
Jeff.
Yeah. I've concluded my argument. I was gonna let Mr. White speak, Mr. Jeff White speak, if that's okay with the board. And I would let him, have the rest of my time.
Thank you.
Members of the board, my name is Jeff White. I'm David White's and Janice White's son. Mr. Holloman knows who I am, as most of the other board members do also. I practice law here, practice in Chancery all the time, have for 26 years. You have a situation where Mr. and Ms. Kostovich agreed to a divorce. This is a property settlement agreement that created this need, not a judgment handed down by the court that was appealed. They agreed. A property settlement agreement under law is a contract. These two agreed by contract to divide this property. They didn't come to you first. They didn't come to the zoning board first to ask for that. They did it sua sponte, on their own, without first seeking approval. And the property settlement agreement is clear. It states that this property will be rezoned if applicable. If not, it shall be sold. So they cannot create a need like that. If you allow that to happen, then every spouse or spouses that are getting divorced, it will open the floodgates for all kinds of different rezonings based on a contract that you can do personally in Chancery Court through a divorce action to recreate all kinds of different zoning situations. That's not proper. That is not public need. That's a personal need. That's a personal need that they created, not a public need.
May I also ask, Pat, when we changed this zoning to build a smaller home, it was in front of, I remember it because it hasn't been too long ago. It was in front of a large garage that we had complaints on
Yes,
before.
ma'am.
Okay, so that's non-conforming immediately, correct? I mean, we allowed them to build that small house for the benefit of their child who was explained to us as handicapped but was going to live on his
I
own.
believe it was the wife's brother, so it wasn't their child. So the acre that was rezoned was south of that garage building, storage building, workshop, and it was outside of that. So it was an independent parcel created at the south end of the property. So at the time, the workshop and their family home was at the north end of the 3-acre parcel.
And that was a conditional use.
It was not.
It was not
just
conditional.
creating a 1-acre lot. All of the lots on the west side of the street which they're on are zoned R1. And then the east side of the street is all R1. And half of the properties on the west side are R1. The northern parcel.
But it says clearly on here that the public need, quote, splitting back to original 2 acres, but the original was 4 acres, correct?
It could have been 2-acre parcels to make the 4 acres.
And the shop,
That still doesn't constitute a public need, in my opinion, but I don't understand what the planning and zoning board, I don't know where their head was.
well, that's another discussion, I guess. Maybe. Yes, well,
Okay.
that's all
All right.
right. They do that a lot. It ends up in our way.
Next, we're gonna have, yes.
Will Sims here on behalf of the Kospoviches, and I was actually at that hearing. I spoke at that hearing, and do you need my address?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
It's 1806 23rd Avenue, Suite A, 439-501. And just to delineate what was being spoken, I think the transcript speaks for itself. One of the issues is multifaceted. One, it's not going to change to the detriment of the neighborhood. It's going to be a change that's going to be reflective in what's already been happening in the neighborhood. This was A1, then it was E1, now it's R1. Okay, there's already properties, including part of this property was already zoned R1. I think we're getting in the weeds with the argument on divorce. I do think it's a public need because I think it's an attachment to the judgment. It's a public record where they're ordered to do these things per the agreement parties by the court confirming that.
And that's what they're trying to do. They can't combine E1 with R1 and split the profits. You can't do that. So the other one has to be made to be R1 to be able to create two-acre parcels. But here's the thing that I think that he listed a case, counsel opposite here, but I think he missed the point. The issue is it fairly debatable? I've heard a lot of debate already. If it's fairly debatable upon this Board of Supervisors that by your experience, by what you've seen in this property, that it's been trending, if you go and print off of your own website, you will see all the R1. Well, that was not R1 to begin with. That has changed over time. And what we've seen is a continuation of that. And we're not trying to put high density or do something that's just so obscene to the area around it. You're making your 2-acre R1 that was E1, and you're expanding what is already R1 from 1 acre to 2. And it's the same as what's across the street, including the property of one of the main persons complaining. What's on the other side is R1. What's to the north, Swan Lake subdivision, is R1. This has become R1. And so it's not only in flow with what's happening out there, but there has been a change in the circumstances from E1 to R1 in this neighborhood. That's what's important. I do think that the public need of following judgments and having them to be able to comply with a judgment, that is a public need. I would agree with that. But also think that what doesn't need to be lost in, there's a case that talks about the fairly debatable, and it talks specifically about Connerly case. Connerly is what he's flowing from. That's a 1986 case that has been regurgitated, and it talks about that, specific findings. But it says clearly, on the other hand, while recognizing the desirability of specific findings by the zoning authority on each considered issue, we will not reverse for lack of such specificity where a factual basis for the action is disclosed. Well, the factual basis is this. It's already been converted to R1 all around it. Part of this property has already been converted to R1. And so that, coupled with the divorce action and the judgment, these are factual issues and your own information. And the case goes to state even further. In Madison County, there was a board of supervisor that had been serving for 25 years on the board. And he talked about, and the court used this as an example of the fact finding when you're talking about fairly debatable standard. And in that it states that I've seen a lot of changes in this area. It's not like we sit on this board and we don't see what's changing. We do see the changes. I do believe personally that the nature of the neighborhood and the area has changed. And this change I'm talking about is not agriculture, it's not E1, it's R1. That's what we're talking about here. And so to get lost in why it's being converted because of this divorce action or not, I do think it's stronger argument toward the presentation we make to convert it to R1, but it's in line with what y'all have been seeing. And y'all have already taken action on it and have already turned some of these properties from E1 to R1. And so I just state that clearly, this case that I'm referencing is Madison Citizens Against Rezoning versus Madison County Board of Supervisors. It's October 23rd, 2012 Court of Appeals case. And also I have another case that I'll cite just for the record, is the Adams et al. Versus Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Natchez, September 11th, 2007 case, Court of Appeals in Mississippi. These cases speak to the very points we're dealing with here. And so with that, when I pulled up the map, R1, this is the property line, R1, this is what's happened to that area. And I think you can see it for yourself. And y'all been on this board, y'all
You
seen
got
it.
3 big buildings sitting on that property already. 3. Where'd the third one come from?
I don't know which you're talking about. I know there's a shed, I know there's a cottage.
That's a shed?
And then there's a house, but they're on different parcels. Cottage and the, is on the 1 acre, and then the work shed, or whatever you call it, is on there with the house.
That's as big as a house.
It's bigger.
I see it.
Yeah.
It's bigger.
Well, nothing, everything that's there is there, there's not any plans to change what.
No, they're just literally, it's being changed to R1 so they can now have 2 acres and 2 acres.
Until someone decides to sell it,
Sell it.
and then things change.
But it,
But if they have to build anything else, they're gonna have to come through the mechanisms in place. So, I mean, I don't know, is that the issue? Because it's still low density, it's just not very low density. It's not,
that was why I was asking Patrick, what is the difference of what they can do with E1 versus an R1 low density? Other than having to be 3 acres, that's a size of the lot issue, but what is the difference of what you can build on? You got an R1 lot there, and you got an RE1, which is 3 acres. You're gonna take it and break it into 2 acre R1, so what is the difference?
The R1 is the most restrictive residential district, so only houses are allowed, so no possibility of a manufactured home. Although they could not add a manufactured home as is because there's already a house on the property.
And directly across the street, looking at what's in the record, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots directly across, or actually 6 directly across the street that are all less than 3 acres. Are they
They're
all
all R1, yes.
Were they changed from another
It's
designation?
been the same since day one.
Okay, I'm sorry, I mean,
I'm just curious. Go ahead, Donnie.
So,
You pause.
I'm looking at this, and I'm going back, I think I'm pretty clear already which way I'm gonna go on this. But there are 3 buildings sitting on this property already. The other land around there that you're referring to has 1 building, which is a house. So the guy's already got 3 buildings, 2 homes apparently, and a shed that's the biggest one of the homes. So if we change that back, then he'll have to put 3 more on there. I don't know, I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with it.
Actually, I believe the zoning would be more restrictive under the R1.
Yeah, because it's already out of compliance, because the home that they built is smaller than the big, huge building that they have in the back, but,
So that's all that I have. If y'all have any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Can I speak?
Yes, hold up. Yes, come on up. Yes.
A couple things I just want to clarify. It's my brother-in-law,
State your name.
David Koskowich, 14485 App Lane, Gulfport. It's my brother-in-law. He's not handicapped. He has Asperger's, very high functioning. Nothing was ever changed for him. We simply purchased 1 acre out of 2. Me and my neighbor purchased it together. That's why it was split, because I didn't buy 2 acres. We split it. He took an acre and I took an acre because I didn't want more grass to cut. So this was never changed for him. It was changed because we only bought 1 acre. We built the home for him. We did do that. Now he lives in the home, the primary home. So what I'm trying to do is finish my divorce, and I'm also trying to do a will. And this will is going to say that the Kevin is his name. When something happens to my ex-wife, he will get the house and the 2 acres, and I will get the cottage and the 2 acres. And that's basically it.
It's a shed.
One other thing I want to mention, we have a neighbor to the north of me that owns 4 acres. It's for sale. It's Mr. White's good friend, Mike Bourne. Now, Mike Bourne has plans to probably split that property into 1 acre parcels and build homes on it.
Well, I think you might be speculating. And
Well, no, I've
it's
talked
not
to
in
him.
this record.
No, I'm not speculating. What I'm trying, my point, if you'll let me get to my point, Ms. Martin, he is gonna fight that. And I understand why he's gonna fight that, because he's not gonna want 4 houses across the street from him on 1 acre lots. But it's gonna be kinda hard to come back at a later date and fight that when I'm trying to go from 1 acre to 2 acres, which is gonna be more coherent with the neighborhood. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I just have some brief rebuttal.
Yes.
We heard some statements from Mr. Sims and also from the applicant. We heard some references to a divorce decree. We heard some speculation and conjecture. What I didn't hear was where in the record before the planning commission was there proof of change or need. I didn't hear that at all. Mr. Sims cited to some case law about fairly debatable. That case that I cited to this board earlier, the Wheeling case, actually overrules the line of cases where there's deference to a zoning board where there's fairly debatable issues. There's now no deference to zoning board decisions, and all these decisions, as the one that would be made today, are reviewed de novo. So they're gonna sit at, they're gonna look at this brand new, at the record before the planning commission. We had a statement from Mr. Sims that the public need is the attachment to the decree, which is a public record. Well, in that instance, then any divorce decree ever would be evidence for a public change, what would justify a zoning change. That's just not so. So there's just, in the record, and I have the transcript here. And if you actually read the transcript, if you look at the record, there's no references to change, there's no references to need. There's zero proof before this honorable board that was presented first before the tribunal of record to justify a rezoning. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'm prepared to make a motion. Okay. Motion to uphold the appeal.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Uphold the appeal means granting the appeal. Right?
Yes.
I'm just making sure, because uphold.
You're not how to say it, uphold the appeal.
No, you're granting the appeal. Uphold means maybe, I'm just trying to make sure it's clear. That's what I thought you based on what you said.
And I will overturn the planning commission's
So
decision.
you're granting the appeal,
Granting the
reversing
appeal.
the decision of the planning commission.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next one, item 50. Okay, item 50, order accepting the proposal of Community Bank as recommended by the county administrator and comptroller, being the lowest and best qualified bank for the lease of 3 new fire trucks for the fire service department, and authorize the board president to execute this lease agreement. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 51, order authorizing the following interfund loans and repayment, if any, per tax list. Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
That's my motion.
Wait, I'm
Motion.
seconded it before it got most.
Motion second, like Connie, okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 52, order authorizing the payment in the amount of $567,506 upon pickup of 2 2023 E1 commercial pumper trucks, pop trucks, that will be picked up and payable from the Fire Services Fund 106-250-922.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 53, order acknowledging receipt of
54.
54, I'm sorry. Item 54, order approving payment of the following claims.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 55, order authorizing issuance of check in the amount of $27,341.01 to Certified Mail-In Solutions, Inc. for mailing second round of Chancellor Kirk's land redemption maturity notices for the first and second judicial districts, payable upon the receipt of invoice 001101501. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 56, order approving payment of $5,752.90 to Pasco Stand Public Schools, annual rent for the lease of the 16 section land for the Vidalia Road Ballpark located in Pasco Stand Public School District.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of that motion say aye. All opposed? That motion carries. 57, order authorizing the issuance of duplicate warrants for $500 to Jared Seymour for certificate and affidavit filed with the Chancellor Clerk.
Motion.
Second. Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order
Mr.
approved.
President, you want to take up the addendum?
We did. Yeah, I did it. Did we do it?
We need to discuss it.
Oh, you want to discuss it?
We already
Okay.
I don't know who's the president, Beverly or you?
I mean, I thought we'd already.
Well, I'll refer to.
But I guess you missed it.
No, we didn't, she's gonna present the audits to you and discuss it. I
Okay.
think it's
Did
a
y'all
good
get a
thing
copy
that
of the
y'all need
audit
to hear
report?
about it.
The what now?
And also, we need to talk about the selection on number 2.
Okay.
And thank you, Mr. President, for acknowledging me.
Okay, so, Heaven's on you. I'll be right back. Okay. And then we can just give this to Rebecca. Well, we have the audit. The audit for 2020 is done. I think y'all are aware of the reasoning behind the delay, unforeseen circumstances with the auditor. And they have informed us they were originally engaged to do the 21 audit, but they are not able to do the 21 audit engagement. So we sent several firms proposals. 3 firms came back with audit proposals to do the 21 and 22 audit engagement. There is a firm out of Jackson that we recommend to use. They have county experience. They have assured us that everything going smoothly, they can have the audit report for 2021 available for public distribution by December 31st.
Who
So
is it?
it's BKD. They also do Hines County. The other firm out of Jackson didn't have any county experience, and they were a very small firm.
Which was who?
Grantham and Poole. BKD has over 500 employees with partners, managers, staff. There is a local firm that also gave a quote that they were $20,000 more, and they informed us it has been several years since they did county audits. So
Who was that?
that was Alexander Van Loon. So based on the timing delay that we're already in for the 21 audit, I would recommend using the firm BKD out of Jackson. For the first year, it was $95,000 that they quoted. That's about $15,000 more that we've been paying for the audits. And then for the second year, it was, I believe, $98,800.
Marlon?
Based on her recommendation, I will make a motion to accept that firm.
Marlon, did we not have Alexander Van Loon for the utility authority?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did do the utility.
they've done the
authority.
utility
That's
authority
the
and also,
county.
I believe, Harrison County Development
Yeah, we
Commission.
get a second
Yes.
for discussion on that.
I'm sorry, I
We get a
apologize.
second.
I got a
Second.
motion.
Second
Second.
for discussion. I jumped the gun, I apologize.
Mr. President, we can provide these proposals. They're 35 pages each.
It just depends, they're small.
But we can show you how it was looked at. The firm the comptroller is recommending is currently auditing Hines County.
If you want, and that could be done in executive session, since you would be discussing their qualifications and other proprietary matters. I'll verify that before we go, if the board chooses to do it in executive session, but if the board wanted to meet and talk with them, that's up to the board if you choose to do that.
Mr. President, we'd be glad to tell them to come to Biloxi. Is that something that would happen?
I mean, all we can do
If
is
they want
ask.
the job.
We can ask.
Is it more costly because of the lateness of the, and the,
I can't really, I don't know that it's because it's late. The county has paid a consistent fee for several years. It's just different firms. And some of the firms had hours ranging from 600 hours to 1,200 hours for the audit engagement. However, there's a lot of documentation and work papers that I prepare and give to them, so it has cut down on the time to do the audit.
What is the estimated cost? Is there a cost?
Well, we've got one firm that's quoting $95,000, and then we have another firm that's $120,000. So
The firm that what are they?
the firm that I recommend is BKD out of Jackson, and they are $95,000.
Did they say how many hours?
They were at 600 hours.
The other one was 1,200 hours.
That was the local firm.
Oh, that's the difference in the price right there.
Well, that's part of
Double
it,
the
yeah.
hours, double the,
Yeah.
so that's not a real good comparison.
Well,
One's
but
600
it's,
for 95,000 and one's 1,200 for 120,000.
It's
That's,
gonna take them longer. to
yeah.
do
Well-
On the surface, it may sound like it's a better deal, but when you look at it,
when you look at the expertise with the firm out of Jackson, they have county experience. So I think with us being under the gun as we are now, for efficiency, I think they would be the better choice.
Is there any further discussion? You have a motion on the floor. Without any further discussion, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Get the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No, so. We had 50.
You're at 58.
59 or 58.
Order approving travel for Herman Cox, County Prosecutor, to attend the Mississippi Bar Convention to be held July 11th through 15th, 2022 in Destin, Florida, at the estimated cost of $29.70.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 59, order approving purchase of bottled water, chips, granola bars for the Friends of Court Volunteer Training to be held on June 28th through 30th, 2022 at the Harrison County Advocacy Center, payable from the donated training funds. Motion. Motion.
What is it?
I'll make a motion to discuss because I'm not
Yeah.
sure what this
Motion,
is.
give me a second.
Discussion.
Okay, discussion.
Thank you. What is this?
This is for, training that they're doing at the advocacy center, or they're doing it at night, y'all approved them to do some night training. So
But I
this-
thought we buy our own chips and coffee and water, so.
They received some donation money, and they want to use that donation money to purchase those.
Okay.
City County Fund?
What kind of training?
It's not
not
training,
county funds?
Friends of the Volunteer Program, Friends of the Courts,
Oh,
they're getting their
okay.
volunteer training.
Do we
I wish
have
they'd said
authority?
Friends of- yes.
Do we have control or authority over that fund?
Yes,
Where did,
yes,
well,
we do.
how much is in it and when did we
That was
acknowledge
when
receipt?
we accepted that check from the
When they
group
did
that
the-
did Mardi Gras.
Yeah, they parked.
Parking lot, where they did the parking lot, and they donated the money for training.
When they,
Oh, yeah, with the parking, that's
Yeah,
same
they-
group.
For
they-
the Mardi Gras and Pass Christian, they
Yeah.
donated that, and we keep track of that.
Good deal. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 60. Order acknowledging receipt of a letter from Mississippi Department of Marine Resources regarding awarding Harrison County Public Trust Highland grants for 20th Avenue and Highway 90 beachside parking improvement, West Biloxi Boat Launch, and Long Beach Park Volleyball Court improvements.
motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 61, order approving payment of $2,774.92 to Alter Planning and Design, invoice number 00-2020-16619, professional services on project number STP 0024-00054, LPA, Active Living Initiative Service Period April 1 through April 30, 2022, payable from 312-540-555. Authorizing interfund loan if needed until reimbursement is received, and authorizing board president to execute reimbursement. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving total payment of $139,756.66 to Harrison County District for 2018-2020 rental payment on 16 section land leased by Harrison County as listed and authorizing budget amendment for same.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
It's getting a little expensive there.
I gotta keep my people happy.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
And that's a hard job.
So moved. Motion carries. Item 6, order adjudicating and approving the city of Biloxi's request to use county equipment needed to assist in hosting the 93rd annual Blessing of the Fleet Festival on May 28th.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of that motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order
By the
approve-
way, on the rental, you're welcome, Renee. I'm sorry. It's okay.
Order approving-
No, the rental money you gave me.
Yeah.
Order approving
They getting the money. They ain't getting the money.
You're welcome.
Order approving the waiver of rental fees for the use of the West Harrison Civic Center by St. Paul Carnival Association.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 65, order acknowledging receipt of an appraisal prepared by Alan Purvis on tax parcel number 0609801034-000, adjudicating the appraised value offered to the property owner to acquire right of way for improvements to the intersection of Canal and Landon Road for the project number 72459, accepting the easement executed by Judah Living Trust and authorizing the payment of the appraised value for the easement.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Is that it, Tim?
Now we have 2 to 3 more.
All right, now we can get it done.
2 of those people probably won't be a problem. The third one is Coast Electric, which they want $250,000 for moving utility poles. There are big utility poles, big old concrete. They wanted over $1 million, so we
Yeah.
have moved it down. Rebecca's
That's good.
negotiated it down.
They wanted more than that on it. I mean, this is
Is that on the
Bees
same
Road.
side as the
There's 2 of them that's on the east
transfer
side.
station?
Yeah, there's.
I thought we moved everything so we wouldn't have
Well,
to
there's
deal
some
with
poles
it.
that have to still be.
There are still some poles.
Yes, sir, that's correct. There's one on the west side of Canal Road Canal Road that'll, be moved.
Yeah, I think we avoided the big
The
expensive.
big one we bought.
This one's still big, yeah.
Still got to
There's a
move
big
the pole.
pole.
Got to move that one big pole.
Can we just go around it?
We tried.
No,
Like
ma'am,
a big tree?
I believe, Tim and I have been through this, and yes,
I know.
I think that'd be
I'd love it.
attractive right in the middle of the road, you
Well-
know, go around, yeah.
It's gonna be even better, worse when we start going back to the east, because there's no real right of way there. It's all public road by prescription, so. There's some big poles down Landon Road also. Anyway,
Maybe Gulfport picked that up. Is that in Gulfport?
I kinda doubt it. Maybe they'll annex it.
They will as soon as the road's done.
There you go.
I can guarantee you that.
They will after we pay for everything.
Wait till you open Buc-ee's, they'll all be fighting over it. I went to buy Buc-ee's on Sunday, you couldn't even get a car in there, I've never seen anything like it.
You can't get out of it once you get in it.
You don't wanna go in it anymore. I mean, this thing was slammed, it had backed up both on Baldwin Beach Express. There was traffic everywhere, I was like, dang.
We're making approval for senior citizens to go over there and visit.
To visit, it's like a
That
tourist.
would be me and you, Mark.
All right, then further discussion, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order adjudicating authorizing expenditures as listed as necessary to advertise and bring into favorable notice of the opportunities, possibilities, and resources of Harrison County, Mississippi, including the county logo being displayed along with the link displayed to Harrison County online in order to provide access to the public of the resources of Harrison County. And careful from 1522 motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion.
I will remind that we cannot accept a table and tickets and free stuff.
What?
Cannot accept
The tickets.
the tickets.
Tickets.
It's
Oh,
not-
yeah.
This is not adjudicating, it's authorizing.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay. I will go around, Tim, you have anything?
I don't think we have anything.
Done.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Which issue?
we have some guests who,
Yeah.
I think you forgot, that want to talk to us about the development in the
Oh,
Upperville.
I'm sorry.
But it's, I thought you said it would qualify for executive
It
session.
will qualify for
since it's-
executive session since
And
it's,
they're waiting for
I didn't know they were here, that's why I didn't remember. But we do have one matter for executive session involving a potential development that does qualify for executive session.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get a motion to, y'all want to go around the horn? John, you have anything?
I don't.
Steph? Pam, you have anything?
Kim, you want to address Jody's request as far as the insurance?
Which one? Oh,
Jody Webster.
yeah, that's a personnel matter, so we probably need to discuss the purchasing in executive session also.
Okay.
And was going to give an update, but if Supervisors Powers is not here, I have to wait till Monday.
Okay.
And I did have one.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe y'all are aware of it, that the planning and zoning are now changing the minimum lot sizes from 50 to 80.
On what?
Proposal.
Why?
One of the biggest complaints we get is about the super small lot sizes that we're seeing in all the subdivisions. So the planning commission's hoping to come up with something to hang their hat on when we're dealing with.
Do they not realize that the trend is going to smaller lot sizes? Is the way it-
Especially in a retirement area, and I'm with you, I used to hate small lots.
Traditions is a good example.
But but now the trend seems to be not only with older retirement people who don't want to mow the grass, it's young people, they want smaller lots
I
as
live on
well.
a half an acre and I do not like mowing my
I would beg to differ a little bit, because I haven't heard anybody in any zoning appeal sit in here and argue that the lot was too big. I have never heard one say anything about, I'm against it because the lots are too big.
Yeah, we have developers come in here and say that. Sure.
That the lots are too big?
That the lots are too big. They could-
I've never heard a developer say that. He'd like to have smaller possible. I'm talking about people that, I'll just say this. Harris, keep in mind, we're in a semi-rural area. That's what our zoning ordinance applies to. So I don't have a problem increasing the size of the lot. And I think in that proposal, Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, that there are, in those larger lots, there is accommodations for smaller lots.
So the goal of this proposed text amendment is to preserve wetlands. And so the percentage of a property or a phase that is saving X amount of space, that percentage is allowed to have smaller than
So
the 80.
there is possibility of smaller lots.
We think it'll create diversity of lot sizes in the subdivisions rather than.
That's not what this says.
I think we need to look at that, and I think it's almost like a case-by-case basis, because you have some areas that are already extremely congested, and then you have, you know, you can look at Traditions as it's 0 lot line, and it's a nice.
Traditions is a little different situation.
It's a
Traditions,
different style of development.
There's a
New
lot.
urbanism versus
But under
conventional.
these
Yeah.
particular
Traditions
zoning
is a little
changes,
different.
but under these proposed zoning changes, traditions would have never happened.
No, it could happen.
Tradition is a master plan community,
It's a master plan
zoning district, so they have the flexibility.
Yeah, you could have master plan community.
But you don't like those, you said you didn't like those.
I'm not a fan of the planned unit developments. So right around Mr. White's house, Hatton Farm is a PUD, a PUD. That one, it's finished now, but it started after Katrina 15 years ago.
Well, they all start slow, but anyway.
Well,
I just,
for the record, okay.
yeah.
Anything else, we get a motion to go to executive session?
Motion to go into executive session to discuss potential development as well as
Personnel
personnel.
matter involving personnel.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Can we go to a warmer place?
They're set up for, I think I know
Oh,
this
they-
may be set up.
Okay,
And
I'm
they
afraid.
want to be sure that it's only the board.
All right, borrow somebody's coat.
Second.
Second,
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries.
he didn't get much.
Mr. Holland?
Yeah.
You don't get much
Executive
trouble from
session,
me, you're a nice
The board
man.
discussed two matters involving economic development, potential economic development of a project. No action was taken, personnel matter, and no action was taken.
All right,
Involving
nothing further, we get a motion to adjourn.
Go move.
Second.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, never.
Marlon, y'all a little